Hello, my name is Darrell Haddock with the West Atlanta Watershed Alliance.
And I'm Jennifer Arnold with Reciprocity Consulting.
We're going to cover inequality, equality, equity, and justice by viewing this slide. And there's several images that we want to go over to orient you to the various definitions that we'll cover.
And we like using this image. It shows the tree as a system providing opportunities and benefits. So you can see the apples as benefits. And we see the tree is bending towards some groups and away from others, or represented by this child here. And so inequality is that unequal access to opportunities. So the tree bends and there are more apples leaning toward one child or group as opposed to the other.
And you can see in the representation for equality that we provided equal access, apparently, to the top of the tree. But because of the tree's orientation, there is some individuals who still cannot access those resources or opportunities. And there's still even less on the side of that individual if they were even able to attain them.
And so that emphasis is on equal access or equal ladders, but that doesn't reach the equal outcomes. Equity in the bottom left here looks at, how is the tree bending and what unique supports does each group need so that they can reach those benefits.
And those custom tools are represented in the various heights of the ladder, so that we're not necessarily giving these individuals the same height ladder. We're actually providing them with what's needed to get to the top of the tree, despite the fact that the tree's orientation hasn't been changed yet.
And we always like to emphasize that equity is a process and an outcome. So our outcome is that everyone has access to those apples. But we can't, if you're the child on the left where the tree is bending toward you, it may be hard to even notice that the tree is bending at all. So it is very difficult to know what ladders folks on other parts of the tree may need. So equity as a process emphasizes talking with people at different points of the tree, maybe getting down off your ladder to the extent you can, and really engaging and working with people to know what supports are needed on other sides of the tree.
And to that point Jennifer made, you can tell that we still don't have the same amount of resources on both sides of the tree. So you possibly wouldn't even understand or know that if you weren't able to get down off the tree, recognize what is needed in terms of the infrastructure or scaffolding, but also, are there enough fruit to sustain the individuals once they get on the other side?
And then the justice in the bottom right corner is really thinking about what are those factors or forces that are shaping how the tree grows. How is the fertilizer? How is it being pruned? Can you remove a tree that might be shading it and so it's growing toward the light? So how can we think about actually fixing the system so we don't need those different ladders for different groups, so that the system itself is nurtured and developed in a way that benefits everyone?
And you can tell at some point we did need infrastructure to right the tree. So you can see that the tree actually has some investments that needed to be made so that it could correct its orientation, as well as providing the ladders that allow the access to the canopy and the fruit.
And just to emphasize, we share this with many groups, and we always ask people to reflect on what does this, how does this speak to the issues that you work on? What is missing, or how do you interpret it? And one person shared, if you cover up the top of the tree and you don't even see which way it's bending, you just see the trunk and the two different size ladders in that bottom left-hand corner, you might get that common critique of, well, that group on the right is getting preferential treatment. They're getting more resources. So really important to equity as a process and an outcome is understanding, doing the analysis, talking to people to understand how that tree bends, so you can explain why those customized resources are needed for some groups.
Thank you for viewing this slide with us. And we look forward to working with you in the future.